Welcome to Housing for Good, a podcast dedicated to housing topics and issues affecting our communities in McPherson County and beyond. With years of experience and expertise, hosts Chris Goodson and Karolyn Moore discuss housing challenges and opportunities with other experts from a variety of housing fields.
Hi, I'm Karolyn.
And I'm Chris.
We thought it would be very cool if we started out by letting you know who we are, and so personally, and who we are as McPherson Housing Coalition. For me, I was raised by a single mom. My parents were divorced when I was young, and while we had family to help us and surround us with just that support and everything, there were a lot of times we went without. I couldn't afford the newest, trendiest clothes, things that a child wants. To be honest with you, we grew up in poverty. It really wakes you up when you go back and you see the neighborhood or the house where you grew up in, and you maybe realize really how much your mother or your parents struggled to even get you what you needed. I appreciate my mom in that respect. And then I got married at 17, right out of high school. My husband and I were 17 and 19. We have now been married for 45 years, so we've done a pretty good job of keeping things together. But when we first got married, guess what? We were right out of high school. We didn't have any big paying jobs or really any way to support ourselves. It was a struggle, and we figured out how to do that. And I would say that now we live a middle-class lifestyle, but it wasn't always that way. And so I understand poverty. I understand what our single parents are going through. I understand the issues that come with that. And so that is why I absolutely love my job at McPherson Housing Coalition. How about you, Chris?
Well, I've experienced some poverty myself. Again, I got married young as well. Unfortunately for me, that didn't work out, but I did eventually marry a very wonderful man, and we have also lived a very good lifestyle and been able to provide for our kids and the things that we needed. But it wasn't without a lot of hard work on all of our parts. I mean, like you, I always love to hear these stories. You know, it's heartwarming to me when you see people that have struggled and they're able to pull themselves out of poverty and move forward. And that, I think that's what drives me a little bit, is to be able to help people be able to be on the same journey as us. Mm-hmm. And to be able to see that there really is a light at the end of the tunnel. That they work hard and they do specific things, whatever that is for them, that they can dig themselves out and provide for their kids and have a really wonderful life. So that's really what drives me. I'm really lucky. Education was really my way out. And as an appraiser, I also saw a lot of things going on that really broke my heart when it came to housing. And so that's kind of how this whole thing started. And I'm very grateful to the people along that journey. You know, the thing about it is, what we don't realize is, when you're in poverty, you're not on that road alone. If you've gotten yourself out of poverty, it's because somebody was right there beside you.
Yep,
and
that's
so
right.
We need to make sure that we are beside people that are struggling.
Yep, that's exactly right. The purpose of our podcast, and the reason that we wanted to do this, is we want to have the discussion, really hard discussions about really difficult topics regarding housing and addiction, housing and mental health, housing and being a single parent. What do those support services look like that these families need? We want to talk with seniors in the neighborhood and people that give them services. You know, one of the largest demographic, Chris, of people that are going into poverty and homelessness right now is our seniors in our communities. That's very troubling. Mm-hmm. Hey, can you tell us how MHC began?
Yeah, in 2008, a group of people, myself included, we started seeing things in the community that were concerning. And we also realized that with the amount of industry here that we had in McPherson, that we did not have enough affordable housing. The only thing was, nobody really understood what's affordable housing. It's different for everybody. It's different for different people in your communities. It's different for everybody. So affordable housing is 30% of whatever your income is. That's affordable housing for you specifically. But mostly what happens is, if you're making a lot of money, and your affordable housing is going to be very expensive, but there's a lot of money there for people. So like a contractor is going to be able to make quite a bit of money off of that house. So there has to be incentives to build low-income housing, and that's really where grants and those type of things come in. And in order to be able to do that, we actually had to start a nonprofit. So I personally saw some things as an appraiser with some homes that I could not believe were being rented out, and some of those conditions were horrible. And I knew, just because I have such a heart for people, that we had to do something. And it's just kind of blossomed from there.
Yeah. People also ask us when we speak at different organizations or churches, they say, well, where do you work? Pretty much the Housing Coalition, we work in McPherson County, Kansas. There are 8 communities in this county, and we can work in each one of them. I will tell you that our first priority with all of our programs is for those families that have children. And I think, some of this probably comes from Chris and I, but when you realize the impact that living in poverty and being homeless has on the entire family, but the kids have no say on any of this. And so that's always our first priority with all of our programs, is we want to help families with kids. We're willing to help others, but that's got to be our first priority. We can literally work in any community in McPherson County. What programs, Chris, do we have?
Well, we have Brush Up Mac. That's a program that mostly helps our seniors. We can do yard work, we can do wheelchair ramps, guard rails, all kinds of things for our seniors, and there's no cost to them. So it doesn't cost them anything for us to come in and do work in their home. And aging in place is a big deal right now. So what we want to do is help our seniors feel safe, secure, and be in surroundings for things that they really love.
Yeah.
So that's the really cool part about the Brush Up Mac program. We're also looking at workforce housing. We have a lot of kids coming home from tech schools or colleges and those type of things, and they need a place to be. I don't want them in my basement. I don't know about you, but I want my college kids that have graduated or from tech school or beauty school or whatever they've attended, they need a place of their own, and they need to be able to either afford to buy or rent. So we want to add to the housing stock so we can keep those costs at a minimum and allow families to have kids be able to come home and want to feel proud of being able to come home and be more independent, which is what we want, is to have independent people. Those are 2 of our biggest programs. Our Emergency Solutions Grant, which Karolyn has talked about a little bit, that can help people who are homeless or imminently homeless. We have an emergency shelter. We are building permanent supportive housing for families. It's one of the first permanent supportive housing projects in the state of Kansas for families. You see them a lot of times for the disabled or for specific groups.
Veterans.
Yes, veterans is a big one. But we're building one for families. And so, those are our main programs. Just we're always looking for new things and new opportunities and new programs. So as we see something, if we see a need for a family, we're like, okay, how do we fill that? Is that something we should be filling? Or is that a partnership we should be having? And what can we do to make that better?
And one of the things I'm really proud that we've done over the last couple of years here is bring in the money we needed to be able to offer supportive services. The difference it makes in a single parent's life when I can tell them, hey, we can help you with attorney fees. We can help you to be able to have that legal counsel to get child support because you have child custody. Yeah. And Chris, it's sad, but I've seen the number of couples come together and they have kids, but they never got married. Yes. So then when they split, it's whoever wants to take the kids that has the kids. And there's no support. So to be able to get them an attorney that can help them get custody of the kids and get the child support started, that is a game changer in a lot of our families that we've been able to help the last couple of years. But also mental health services. Believe it or not everybody that is poor has CanCare or insurance off the marketplace. So to be able to cover a person, to be able to see a medical doctor or a dentist when there's something wrong, but you couldn't afford to go, so you just ignore it or avoid it, that's huge. And then this year, we were actually able to add some childcare expenses there to help with that, and also transportation, because a lot of our families, they don't have cars, so they're counting on friends, they're counting on public transportation, which McPherson is really lacking. So we're able to buy them either a bus ticket through the senior center or taxi passes through the city, and that helps them get around, get to the job, get to the grocery store, get to an appointment that they need to go to. So I'm really proud of how we've added to our supportive services as part of our programs. We're going to talk more in depth about each of these in future podcasts, but we want to let you know that if you have suggestions for us as we're moving forward on a topic you would love to have us talk about, or somebody that you feel like is an expert or a wonderful person to come in and offer their perspective, we would love for you to let us know about them at housingforgood@mcphersonhc.org. So, Chris, what do you think we should talk about on our next podcast?
I think we should talk about the Oak Harbor Cottages non-congregate shelter. A lot of people ask us about that shelter and how it came about and how we did it and how we constructed it and how the community came together to make this happen.
That's true. That would be a really good one. Hey, thanks so much for joining us on this podcast of Housing for Good. We'll see you next time.